Hi, Adrian here. I just wanted to inform everyone about progress of my work on a card game. A lot has changed since I wrote about my game on Reddit. I will try to explain everything in points. First, restrictions breed creativity. I took those words to my heart. Game board looks much better compared 6 months ago. Main problem was that I wanted to make space for elements that won't be there yet, because I wanted to avoid a situation similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, where after a few years they added extra space for monsters and changed the magic zone for Pendulum. Going back to my game, there was a support deck and a boss quest deck. They were combined into one, while the limit on powerful creatures was solved by me in a slightly different way. I'll talk about how I did it later. Environment card place has been eliminated. There is no longer a dedicated place, there is simply a battle zone. There is no limit to the number of these types of cards, you can have even up to 10 of them in the battle zone. However, a fee will be required every turn to keep this card active. The cost will be less than its primary use, but it will require more resources on game from the player. In summary, you can keep as many environment cards as you want, provided you can afford them. Similar situation with boss quest, there is no dedicated place for a powerful creature. Second, there are no more part HQ cards laid out, there is just a stack of 7 cards. I think that option to choose which shield to destroy first is pointless, because deck is shuffled at the beginning anyway. So cards are random. I think it will make game easier. Thirdly, the weapon card for headquarters is next to it and not directly on top of it. That's enough about getting rid of unnecessary junk from the game. Now about what has been changed or added. First of all, the distribution method. Thanks to Keith A. Rice, I was under no illusion that this would be a TCG game. But not really. The point is that the gameplay will still resemble that of a TCG, but the way the game will be sold on GameCrafter will be ECG style. Not LCG, thank Fantasy Flight Games for patenting the name. At this point, 90% there will be 6 products. Because there are over 150 different cards, there will be 3 starter decks. It will be a mix of 2 factions, that is green with red, green with blue and red with blue. The next 3 sets are standalone add-ons. It's hard for me to describe them as add-ons because this is the first edition. Nevertheless, each will contain a full set of cards from only one faction. So if you don't want to overpay in the beginning, buy a starter deck and then buy a full pack of the faction you're interested in. At this point I don't see a better solution. As I mentioned earlier, I am 90% sure. Fourth, the system where any card can be a resource went into the trash and replaced with something completely different. From the beginning, my card list had some cards that looked more like buildings, bunkers, or workers. Now these will have a dedicated spot and not every card as it was before. In a nutshell, the system is a bit like the one in Force of Will, where there are cards that generate resources. In addition, each headquarters has special abilities. The idea is that each headquarters gives the opportunity for 3 worker types, the basic one, which provides resources regardless of the color of the faction. The second card generates more cards at the beginning of the turn. The third card is exclusive to a specific headquarters, and only that particular staff can have the third type of worker. I originally thought of it as a headquarters special ability, but the problem is that you never use the special ability because otherwise you lose the opportunity to take an economy card. So it was converted to a passive ability, and by default each player takes 2 cards per turn. And here I came up with an interesting idea. Player doesn't take 1 card each from main deck and the support deck. It's up to him if he wants to expand economy faster or if he prefers to destroy opponent's base quickly. Exactly as it is in RTS games. This is exactly what I wanted, for a card game to resemble a strategy game. There is another feature I recently added related to economy cards. So I don't know how it will perform during testing. Well, economy cards have their own durability, somewhat similar to headquarters parts. You can find more about how it works in the instruction. Link in description. Fifth, most of the passive abilities which are related to, for example, get an extra card at the beginning of the turn will have main economy cards. There will probably exceptions. This makes more sense and the system is easier to learn. Sixth, the headquarters part cards will no longer be dedicated, but random. This way, the player who attacks will not fear the consequences as before. So how did I solve the issue of heroes? Well, they are in the support deck. The trick is that to take a card from the support deck you need to have permission, just like with economy cards. I added an ability card, Call Help. This is a card that allows you to take one card from the support deck. This card is either a hero or an ultimate ability, which is a very strong ability such as free space units until the end of the turn. This way also solves the problem of randomness. Because we can have several strong cards but sometimes we get the wrong one. This makes it so that if a player has Call Help and misuses a hero, he can only blame himself because it was his decision and not a random element. Seventh, by eliminating space for cards with fairly specific mechanics such as boss, quest, then I had to add something completely new. One thing, but it gives a solution on many levels. I'm talking about wormhole. It's hard to define what exactly this place is. It is changeable and can have a different effect each time. It can be a place for cards that act as tokens like in Phantom Cruiser or Asteroid Base. But it can have function of special card summoning as in Moon Factory or Break the Supply Chain. So the wormhole is not a placeholder for cards, but the card is the placeholder for the wormhole. Simplifying the question, what is a wormhole? I answer, it depends. Eighth, slightly less noticeable to most, but still special to me. Because I am interested in graphic design. It is the improvement of card quality. Well, I have redrawn almost 50 drawings of cards. I think it was worth it because their quality is much better. Also, card design itself has been improved, that is, the faction icon is no longer faded, but stands out from the background. I also changed the font and background for the characters. Full art will be only for hero cards and ultimate ability. I'm curious what you guys think about all this. I needed a break for a few months, mainly because of my job but also because of the environment cards. I had no idea how to solve the problem with them, because these cards must be non-destructible. So now by eliminating workers option they will be able to be eliminated by the opponent. On a less important note, I also solved the weapons issue for the environment cards for the 4th faction that will be released in the distant future. All thanks to restrictions and removal of unnecessary trash. I think everything looks clearer now, although it still needs playtesting. But thankfully it feels more like a card game now than a board game. If you are interested in progress of my game, there is a link in the description to a page where you can find all for the green faction. There is also a list of cards that can be played on Untapin. I have a few drawings left to complete for red cards, and I'm only halfway through blue cards. So I'm going to play testing when all arts will be done. One other small thing, but I think relevant to the whole thing. I am an extreme introvert who values his privacy very much. At the beginning I signed each card with a nickname Rocket Haze, but I decided that it would be better to use my full name because I do everything myself and it makes it look like the game is made by one person and not by some small independent studio. I think that this change will benefit the game. Besides, I do not forget about education. I will not mention what and who I watch, but I always take a lesson. So that would be enough for today. If you are interested, please subscribe to my channel. Goodbye.